Hello, hello, hello. You're watching ILBC TV, and this is another episode of Feedback and Friends, but today is a little bit different. We have the Beat Call finale. So if you are just joining us for the first time or you have no idea what we're talking about, we have been doing the Beat Call sample challenge. And what we've been doing is getting people to submit loops. We gave them a tempo, we gave them a key, and we asked them to submit their best loops and samples. And we got about 16 different producers in on the final, and we've got it down to the top 5. So I'm actually going to open a poll in the chat right now. And basically, what we're going to do right now before we get started and I introduce everyone is I'm going to play you these 5 finalist samples, and you're just going to be able to type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the chat. But if you're watching on the Cold Cut channels, we are streaming this primarily from ILBC_TV. So if you go to the ILBC chat, you can participate in the poll. Let's check out Contemplate for the sample called Modular. So if you like this song, type 1 in chat, but listen to them all because you only get 1 vote. Next up, we have Imagine and a sample called Bird Call. And apparently Imagine made this with the Kia synth. You know, the car company synth that we did on Plugin of the Week? We're crazy. Great sample. So sample 3 is from Knizzle, and Knizzle, I know, had a crazy modular synth session and made a bunch of samples, including this one called Listen to Me. So this is number 3.
Listen to me. 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 Listen to me.
We are listening, Knizzle. And number 4 is from Mr. Thursday, who gave us some really beautiful acoustic samples, particularly some cello and piano, but this one's called Cello Piz 2. Love that. And then last we have McPhoton with a Rav drum, and I looked up what that was, and I guess it's kind of a hang drum, but it's a really cool, pretty sample. So please vote for 1 to 5 by typing 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the chat. We are going to keep the poll open. There's also some Reddit votes, and then Matt's got a vote, and I've got a vote, and together we are all going to find the Beat Call Challenge winner. So with that, I'd like to say hello again to Matt Black. Thank you so much for coming back. He is going to jam out with Jam Pro and show you exactly how these samples all fit together. How did you like these samples, Matt? You're muted. There you are.
I think I'm on.
You're
Am I
good.
on?
Yep,
Am I
you're
here?
on.
Yeah.
Yep, here you
Hey,
are.
good one, Elle. Yes, and hi, Natalie. Thanks for joining us. And hello, everyone out there. I can see some heads on the Cold Cut Facebook, and I can see some heads on the Twitch as well. Hi there, Olive, DJ Psych, Mr. Kelly R. Fluin, Pirate TV regulars. Yeah, so as Elle said, we've got all these samples in here, and it's a goodly selection, really. So Els did the hard work of going through them all, and was there a lot of editing, Elle, or was it mainly had people done the right thing and provided corrected loops for you?
People did a really great job consistently. I did have to do obviously some leveling out because people have different mixing styles. Some people mix their drums really sharp, some of them make them heavy. So I tried to, equalize them across the board without taking away from the integrity of their sample. But I mean, in the whole, with some great submissions.
Yes. Well, you've made this pack here, which if I dial up, let me see if I can show this on the screen. I've got a million monitors on the go here. Where's this one? How about that? Yeah. There we go. And a nice bit of artwork that you've made there for the beat call. That was...
It's made from the flyer, yeah.
Cool. It looked like you might have used our Pixie app, actually.
I did.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that's being useful. So, yeah, here we've got this sample set, we call them, it's altogether it's 41 samples, 4 lots of 8 loops. Let me go back to the camera view. 4 lots of 8 loops divided into, I call them drums, bass, stuff and thang, and then the stabs over here. So do you want me to comment on the individual loops now, or maybe it'd be a good idea to jam into them, and that way I can sort of find my way amongst them.
Absolutely.
And remember what's what.
That sounds fun.
Although I immediately had a soft spot for that. I think it was the last one you played, or one of the last ones was the Rav mellow, which was the sort of hang drum. And quite a few of my friends in Goa, Danny Hang and Co, and Marcus, the Hang Massive, and we love a nice bit of hang drum. So I think I might start with that. And shall I maybe I'll just like jam through it for a bit and then come back and start talking about the individual.
Let's go.
Groups, yeah, sounds good. Okay, so just press my first patch. Are you getting the level there? Is that level okay?
Yeah, you could even turn it up a bit.
Hard for me to do at this end, actually. If
I can turn you up.
Our volume goes up to 11 here. That should be a bit louder. Is that a bit louder?
Yes.
Okay, safe. Yeah, nice bit of hang drum. It's just a bit of vocal in the background. Nice acoustic sample. The cello pits there. bit of bass. LKG, that one's called. Pluck mellow. Take it somewhere else. That stab needs to begin a bit earlier, so just cut into it. Turn up a bit. Oh, nasty. Okay, let's try this combination acid I made. 3 samples called acid 3, 4 and. Mysterious pad, LKG pads. Strip it down. I think that could be my favourite one. Okay, let's break it down now. Yeah, I think we might leave it there for the moment. It's a little taste there of the sample pack that you
Ooh.
guys have made. Beat cool. Nice. Can you hear me, El?
Yep, all good.
Nice job.
Good. Yeah, and yeah, thanks everyone for sending the samples in. This is Juice Figure. Hi there on Facebook, and hi Olive and Dream Fresh. Yeah, it's indeed. So Sierra de Australia, Aquila Mike is beaming in there. Hello, Brian Jackson and some other pirates. Hi there, Simon. Yeah, just checking through the chat quickly. I had fun doing that. I hope it was entertaining enough to listen to. So, Elle, what should we do? Should we go through some of my faves there?
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, you've got a lot of the sample makers watching on the LBC channels in chat right now as well too. So they all say hello.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, everyone, for joining in and making it a team effort. I think it's nice to make it's effectively an interactive bit of music, this, and I think what we'll do is, at the moment, it's just on this set for the Jam Pro, but it's actually a simple matter to make it available on Ninja Jam as well, which is free for iPhone and Android. So able to hopefully watch this space, and we'll keep locked to ILBC, and we'll publish the link for that. Hi there, Kieran, J. O'Neill. Well, the drums, I did like this one, the Catfish. Nice, slightly unusual snare drum sound. The bass, perhaps my favourite. Well, there's some good selections on the bass there. I don't know who LKG is, but you've obviously been quite busy. Thanks very much. Nice, solid, farty dub style bass there. And then this nice pad as well. We do love a nice pad. I liked Alien X string as well.
That's Cross Couloir. Shout out Cross Couloir.
Good one. Thank you, Cross Color. Yeah, it's a lot of electronic music. I think there's no formula, but one sort of thing that works for me is something sweet and something nasty and heavy mixed together. That's and the pads quite often provide that sweet aspect, and then you got the nasty. Heaviness to go with it. And the very first one, well, I think Rav Mello on the hang drum, as we said, that does get a definite love for that beautiful sound of the hang. I like the little voice in the background there that tells you that came from the real world.
And that is option number 5 if you're voting in the poll. Number 5.
Okay. Which are the other options then? Okay, here we go. So,
that number 1 is the pitched break that you were just playing, the jungle one.
This one.
No, the pitch, the last one. Yeah.
Okay, let's just quickly run through the ones then. So give me number 1.
Actually, I'm sorry. It's the modular melody one from Astro Raf. Yeah.
That's Astro Raf's contribution, is it?
Yep.
Is that Contemplate alias
Yes.
Astro Raf?
Yep.
Hi there, Raf, if you're listening. Nice bit of modular. Good to get the old expensive circuitry working there for its money. So what's number 2?
Number 2 is Listen to Me in the Leeds channel. Listen by Knizzle.
When you say Leeds, I've stupidly renamed them here.
Channel 4.
Channel 4, listen. Here we go.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
I like that. He's been listening to Solid Steel because whoever that is, we used to use that the Ipcrest file sound. Now listen to me. And when you hear a sound, do you remember that film, creepy 60s thriller, which has now been remade, actually. Have you seen the new version yet, Elle? I haven't seen it.
I have not.
Michael Caine, there's a nice brainwashing section where they're using these spaced out, fucked up sounds, trying to brainwash him, and his voice going, listen to me. When you hear a voice saying, now listen to me, you will always obey that voice. I'm not trying to hit this on you. So, okay, what was number 3 then?
Number 3 is Imagine Bird Call. I think that's in the number 3.
Next one. Here we go. I can imagine that turning up in an Aphex tune. Nice. And that's by Imagine or Imagine,
Yes,
however
Imagine,
you pronounce that. Okay. And number 4 is what?
Is Cello Piz 2. So I think that's in the pads or yeah. Yeah.
Sounds real, doesn't it? Does sound real.
I think it
that
is.
real.
He sent me all these organic things.
Right, nice. There's always a bit of acoustic magic there. Okay, thanks for that, Mr. Thursday. And what was the last one, MC Photon?
The last one is that that Rav drum that you like.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the basis of a whole track there, isn't it? Sweet. So I don't know, are we going to see who's, what the troops have been saying on the polls then?
Yeah.
And then we'll also give our own votes. Do we get more votes than everyone else, or is we just get one vote as well?
Well, I think you probably get 2 votes, Matt.
Well, what if I like one that's not in the 5? No, I tell you what, I won't be difficult, but I do want to give a special mention to this this Vox shot. That is really nice as well. Now, who made that?
Astro Raf did, actually.
Really, another score for Raf there. That's a nice sample. I don't know if he. Hopefully he sang it himself and didn't just get it off an opera record, but otherwise we could end up in court. But
well, we've also got the Reddit poll going on right now, and in the Reddit poll we have Imagine in first place, Knizzle in second, and then Mr. Thursday and McPhoton tied for third. So we're going to kind of have to skew. Maybe with the Reddit, there's a lot more people on it, so maybe the Reddit gets 2 points, you get 2 points, this chat gets 1 point, and then I'll take 1 point.
Okay,
maybe Natty should get a point. Did you vote already, Natty?
Yeah, Natty should vote for sure.
I voted on the Reddit one.
All right,
Okay.
you've had your chips, as we say. Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna cast my vote for Astro Raf actually, because not only do I like that that first one which he did, but I also gonna give him a bonus, just my personal liking of that Vox shot which he's provided. You know, a good vocal sample can be the key to a whole track. You know what I mean? Reminds me a bit of Future Sound of London, that Papua New Guinea track with that great vocal sample in it.
Okay. Do you want to give him 2 votes or 1 vote? So you have 2 votes to give.
No, I'm going to give the other one to the Rav Mellow. Yeah.
Okay.
This is like, isn't it, when you have to sort of choose between your children's pictures, say which is the best. And my mum used to say, well, they're both lovely, both exactly the same, but they're very different, aren't they? But there's good. It's good materials here. Well done, everybody.
Nice.
Hi,
I'm very
Adrian
much a
Bozzolo.
sucker for the soft drums.
For the soft drums, which were they?
Yeah, like the hang drums, like, you know, that soft metallic sounds. I'm very much I love those sort of sounds, and I often use them as sub layers and stack synths on top of them and whatever, and it creates a nice character to them.
Definitely, yes. The sounds which don't take up too much space well, there's a place for them, definitely, isn't there? That's because they don't take up too much place.
Natty,
yes,
you should
Adrian
get 2
Bozzolo.
votes.
Sorry,
Natty,
Adriana Bozzolo.
take 2 votes.
Well, I mean,
take 2.
Okay, well, I mean, the hang drums, I voted for them already on the Reddit, so I'm voting for them again. So
Okay.
McPhoton gets a second vote from me then, if that's the case.
Okay.
That probably doesn't tie break it.
All right. Well, maybe if you can do another little jam, we'll give them till the end of the jam to figure out their favorites.
Okay, well, I might naughtily speed it up a bit.
Go for it. Get wild.
I have no idea what this is going to be like, but... can give me some opinions in the chat if you like, people. So when a DJ or music maker is doing their set and they just relentlessly chop from one thing to another, is it annoying or is it exciting? Does it help you get your groove on, or does it rock you out of your groove? I'm a bit prone to jumping it too much, possibly. Got a new feature in Jam actually, which is quantize, which for someone quite loose on the rhythm. Now I've got these stabs quantized now on 16ths, which is sort of cheating, but it does kind of work. Oh, there I go again. Go back. I quite like these power chords. Bass stab. I like the rise actually. Pilly Want, that one's called. Let's dub that out a bit. Wild feedback. Still hearing me? Let's check it out.
Yep.
Right, that's it. That was fun. Yay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, I'm trying to do some crazy math, but I think it looks like Imagine is going to be the winner. Imagine has got the highest points in Reddit and the highest points in the Discord. So that would give them a total of, with my system, Imagine 4 votes. Knizzle has 2 votes. Astro Raf has 1 vote. McPhoton has 2.3, and Mr. Thursday has 1. Wait.
This must be an average, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sort of like scaling them all down.
Yeah, there was more votes than that, but scale on your scaling system. Okay. Hey, Rodai, good to see you in the house, mate. It's a happy pirate Rodai and drum and bass aficionado. And
right.
Go on then. So does it look like Imagine's the winner?
It looks like Imagine is the winner, and I think we've got McPhoton and Mr. Thursday in a tie right now. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about that.
Okay, I think I'll have the casting vote. Give
All
me
right.
their samples then.
Okay, so McPhoton is the Rav drum and Mr. Thursday is the cello.
Oh, hard. Two really good acoustic sample makers. Will it be Goa favoritism if I give it to the hang drum? But did Mr. Photon, is it the cello? Is it two samples? Is it this one as well? The cello pits.
Yeah, all the cello and the piano is from Mr. Thursday.
So Mr. Thursday did. Mr. Thursday. Sorry, yeah. And
So there's
the piano
three
as well,
cello.
yeah.
Yep, that's also him.
Well, I think actually that's got to get the bonus vote, right? Because Mr. Thursday's had got three samples that
Four,
have ended up in the
actually.
final. Four samples in the final selection. I think that definitely deserves a placing. Definitely.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
also got the cello stab, if you saw that one.
Yes. The cello bow, is it?
Yep.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Yeah, okay, well, Mr. Thursday, you are going to win a very creditable second place, and that's going to win you a Ninja Tune wax sack, as it used to be called, which was personally one of mine, and you can't get them anymore, and they're a nice bit of schmutter. I think we did post a picture of them somewhere, so well done to you.
Yay!
Yeah, nice for Mr. Thursday, beat maker.
And McPhoton special mention, a really
Yeah.
awesome submission as
But
well.
Astro Raf special mention as well. I possibly my particular one favourite sample is Vox Shot. So Astro Raf, I'm gonna look out something special for you, just as you made my favourite sample there. So well done for you. And
And
Imagine,
Knizzle.
yeah,
And
has
Knizzle, big shout out.
swept the boards with some great sounds. So by pretty much consistently across the board, people with the people's choice. Yeah, well done. And you are going to win. We should have a nice picture to swap on screen, shouldn't we? Of the Zen delay. Have you got one to hand, Alicia? I might have one somewhere.
Let's see. Zen delay. It's pretty cool. Zen delay. I see. Let me see if I can screen share. Let's see. Hold on a second. There it is.
I'm going to risk dicing with death here.
Woo!
And move down to my very own Zen delay, which you can see backwards. Let me turn off my. Right. Okay. Now it's gonna. Hey, there we go. Right. There's my setup, and there is the Zen delay. Okay. And you are going to have one of your own, Imagine, and that's made with Erica Synth. Yes. Is that vaguely the right place? Yeah, that'll do. Good.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Matt. We love that, and I guess we can make the pack available, like you said, for Ninja Jam. That would be cool.
Yeah, give us a few days to wrap the samples up in the right format for that, and then we'll publish. Keep it locked on ILBC. Alicia's in contact with the community, so we'll sort it out, Ellen, and then we'll send a code. What you do is, I can show you actually if I just close that, and if I go back to the view of the, where is it? There we go. Yes, what you do is, it's slightly different in Jam, but basically you hold here, and then it says enter gift code or enter Ninja code, and then we'll give you a code, and then it will download it for free. That's the easiest way. We can also provide it for a download, but for Ninja Jam, the easiest way to get it in is with the gift code. Okay, so that's what we'll aim to do for y'all. Goody. Okay, so guys, you're gonna get on with giving feedback on people's tracks.
Yeah, we are going to do a shorter feedback, but thank you so much, Matt. That was so much fun, and everybody is loving hearing the samples together. And before you go, let's just talk for a second about our upcoming UK events, because
Yes, indeed. Very
That
exciting.
that is going to be super exciting. We are having an event in Bristol for live electronic performers. So if you are in Bristol, I would suggest that you sign up. And so let me, this is
ilbc.tv/challenge, I believe. ilbc.tv/challenge.
slash UK challenge.
UK challenge. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Right.
going to be July 6th at Lost Horizon in Bristol. And we are looking for showcasers, and we are also looking for competitors. So let's tell them, I'm just going to throw this in here. So we got Matt playing, we have Friar from Slamboree, we have Gramsci, myself, and a bunch of other showcasers from EMOM, which is the Electronic Music Open Mic community. If you want to just come, it's going to be £8 to get in, and we will have tickets for sale soon. But if you would like to sign up to be a competitor, ilbc.tv/UK challenge.
Yeah, terrific. I think that's going to be our first live event in the UK in real life. It will be streaming it as well, but Bristol's a funky town. Lost Horizons is a great venue and well set up for streaming and so on, and they've kindly offered to host us. So get on down to that, people. And yeah, check it out and see if you could come and do a little set. When we say it's a challenge and it's a competition, it's very friendly. We're all just trying to have fun and level up. So what could you do on your own little electronic setup in terms of a routine? We call it sort of DMC for the 21st century, right? Like the old scratch DJ champions, but this time using any equipment that you want. So that is going to be on July the 6th. Should be wicked. Well done for organising that. A lot of work.
And if you know anyone who has a gong, that would be helpful. Or some kind of big bell.
Oh, I thought you meant you could perform on your gong as well, you know.
You could. But I want to do like the gong show, like bing, time's up. So seeking gong in Bristol.
Seeking gong, yeah. The gong will get a special prize as well. Yeah? So sweet. Listen, I'm going to duck out because I'm.
All right,
I'm
thank you so much, Matt.
And we shall convene anon. And yeah,
have a great evening.
Love to everyone.
Great to see you, Matt. Thank you so much. Good night. Woo! All right, so we are in feedback and friends mode. I'm really stoked. Thank you all for remaining patient, and hopefully you enjoyed that show. Always love having Matt here and the magic that he brings. So if you're still watching on the Cold Cut channel, this is ILBC TV. This is a project from myself and Matt Black. My name is Alicia, and I am a producer, sound designer, educator, and musical artist from Vancouver, BC. Right now I'm coming at you from Valencia, Spain, and this is my darling friend Nathaniel Wyvern from Aberdeen,
hello, everybody.
Scotland. And today we've got a bit shorter queue. We may be able to squeeze in a couple of extra tips, but we are going to launch right out with, I think, Stasis Stigma is the first one, yes?
That is correct.
All right, Stasis Stigma with a track called You're the Sky. Did they say anything about like what type of feedback they wanted today?
As per usual, I need to finish polishing this song before I release it, so anything you can do. Thanks in advance.
All right, let's check it out. Thank you, Stasis.
I was trying to run away to you, but I couldn't find your point of view. All the crazy things I tried to do, I guess dreams never do come true. You're a star up in my sky, you make me wonder why, yeah, why even try? Cause I'd give anything to be with you until I die. You were always out of reach, lying on the beach when my heart was under siege. Your life runs like a creek, always downhill with a kiss up on your cheek. How I wish we could be one, but I'm the earth and you're the sun. How I wish you could come down, but you're the sky and I'm the ground. But you're the sky and I'm the ground. got my mind overflowing with bliss. I guess you're impossible to resist. Your walls are coming down, feels like my hometown. I'm spellbound. I kneel before my queen, here's your crown. You were always out of reach, lying on the beach when my heart was under siege. Your life runs like a creek, always downhill with a kiss up on your cheek. How I wish we could be one, but I'm the earth and you're the sun. How I wish you could come down, but you're the sky and I'm the ground.
Wow, what a sweet piece to start off with. First off, I have to compliment you, Stasis Stigma, on the beautiful vocals and those little plucks. I think that those little plucks that you have at the beginning and the end, I almost want to hear teases of them kind of in silence by themselves because they are so beautiful and so crisp. I really, really like it. As you can see, I had flames just sitting on there. I do agree with Visionary in the chat that maybe there's a little bit too much highs, but sometimes that can just happen from over limiting. Like it could be possible that you squished everything and maybe your high end has kind of come up in the process. I think possibly just backing off a little bit or maybe doing some stuff with EQ to cut some of the highs just to scoop them a little bit. You know what I mean, Natty? How did it sound in your headphones?
I mean, I agree. It sounded a little bit crunchy in a way that I feel like your vocals deserve a more smoother approach than a rough one, unless you're like, especially with the style of instrumental you've got, where the only really harsher bits are when you go full on dubsteppy. Everything else is quite mellow, so you want to kind of mix with that intention in mind with your vocals too. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're making some sort of screamo, harsh, industrial thing. And I also feel like part of it is that you sound almost nervous to let your voice stand out by itself. Like there's a lot you spend a lot of the track with these subtle underlayers where you've obviously been comping and processing your vocals heavily, and then you've still got your main vocal on the top, but it's almost like you don't want to just leave it exposed. You're almost overproducing your vocals in places, and I think they're good. Like, I mean, I'd love to just sort of hear them get a little bit more reverb in places and just sort of hear them bleed out into the space, because I mean they are very smooth, but you're not processing them in a way that reflects it.
I think a lot of producers really hate their own voice, you know, like it's just, they intend to like bury it in the mix. And like, I'm definitely one of those people, like I will sit there and over polish it because, you know, you're sensitive to it. And when you have to hear it in your ears over and over again, like the smallest thing can make you just be like, like it's a little bit of torture, you know. I would definitely think that is a good way to torture a musician. If you like, I don't know, you're in some random torture camp in the middle of the world and you're like, I need to get something out of this musician, I need to know how they made that 808. What you should do is make them listen to their own voice on loop over and over and over again, and they'll tell you anything you want. So, but yeah.
I mean, also Lucky Wife.
Lucky Wife. This, if you missed what I just saw put on the chat, Stasis Stigma made this for their now wife. Sweetest thing. Aw. Beautiful. Wow. This is Feedback and Friends with Alicia and Nathaniel Wyvern. And next up, we have another channel favorite, James Slack. Any and all feedback, welcome. Sweet. Really stoked to hear what you got. once again, some super, super beautiful stuff from Slack DB. Really, really love what you did with the chord changes there, Slack. Really like mysterious and lovely and like such good atmospherics. The drums are crisp. The mix down is really, really solid. I don't have much to say about that except, as always, you would do these whips, and I think that the forms are obviously still what has to take shape. So I'm really interested in hearing what happens in the second drop, but I think that your atmospherics are super gorgeous, and, you know, let them float, and maybe even I don't want to say that I always say a halftime part with drum and bass, but I will, you know, full disclosure, I am a drum and bass head of like 12 years before I did any other music, but I do love like moments of space with halftime beats. So, I mean, that could be a part to explore in the second drop. Natty.
I mean, I thought overall, yeah, I'm in agreement. The structure obviously is tad unrefined at this point, but I also felt like the piano could have been brought up ever so slightly. There were points where it was sort of drowning underneath that really heavy, crunchy sub bass, which is a really satisfying sound. But then you were losing some of the definition in those lovely chords in the process. So if you just raise that volume up a little bit, I think that would benefit what you're going for. I mean, I too am very interested in seeing what's going on with the next half of this track, because I mean, you could take it so many different places. I mean, you could go even more energetic with it, or you could go more down tempo with it, and either would be a totally valid choice for the progression of this idea.
Yeah, totally agree, but beautiful job. And I think that was related to what I said about the delicate breathing, like make sure to balance it out so you can hear that delicateness, and you may have to clear a little bit of space from those super heavy dope drums and bass, you know, but overall brilliant track. Did you like it, Natty?
I thought it was fun. I like those sort of, I mean, it's sharper than most Liquid, but it's still kind of in that same territory, and that's quite satisfying to me.
Nice. All right, we have Gratitude New by Hai Chi up next, and they said that they are looking for general advice on mixing and structure. Ending is an attempt at going a little crazy, but maybe there's too many sounds going on. All right, let's check it out.
physics level. Maddest free day.
like this. I'm gonna let this crazy ending happen before we keep commenting. Well, I really actually liked that glitchiness. I think that that ending was superb. And I think that all your little, like in this case, you might be one of the first people I would say you don't need more ear candy because I really liked all those tiny little glitches, some subtle panning, the sense of space. And I think that's really great because this track is a really good example of something that is sort of trance-like and repetitive in the best way, meaning that it gets you into a state and it doesn't disturb you, but it also has enough little points of interest to keep you going. So I'm not sure how I felt about all the slowing down and speeding up. I think once it was cool, maybe twice was not necessary, but I love the way it was rolling. I love the crispness of the drums, and I am definitely an old school junglist, so you hit me in the feels right there. Natty, I'm not sure if you ever listened to jungle, but
I mean, not very often, but I mean, it definitely has a neat aesthetic in my view, and obviously laid a lot of groundwork for everything we generally hear today in high BPM music. I mean, drum step and stuff, all owes a lot of its debt to jungles. That's always fun. For me, I think your issue you have with the speedy up, slowy down bits is more where they're placed than them being a bad idea in themselves. I think that you should get to the really straightforward stuff first and then fake us out towards the last half before you get back into that outro. You know, use it as a signal that the track is coming to a close after we've gotten used to the straightforward stuff. I think that would work better for what you're trying to do here, which is manipulating our expectations. Because if this was in a set, for example, the person who is spinning it might just skip all your fancy footwork, as it were, and jump straight into the easy bit to stick in their set.
Wow, very good point, Natty, and you're absolutely right. Like, DJs definitely don't like to be startled like that. But it depends what you're trying to do with it, of course. Some tracks are not meant to be DJ'd either. But I think that this one is, because it rolls, it's very, like, I could see dancing to it in like an outdoor forest stage at a festival. So I mean, you could also make a weird version and like a club version. Some people do that too. So it's your music, so obviously whatever we say, like, take it with a grain of salt, because it's like how you feel. But this is why Feedback and Friends, it's just a bunch of friends and checking out how we have different opinions. And Natty has a really interesting opinion because you have yet to go to a festival or a party, but you have such a sharp knowledge of it. It's like your intuition is spot on. So I got to tell you, I want to take you to one just so I can be there at your first one.
I mean, when I'm in Valencia, we can actually discuss perhaps the ILBC one in Bristol, because on a weekday I don't need to take time off for it.
Ooh, I would love to see you there.
But we'll have to discuss how best to organise it I'll do it when I come see you, and we can look at it then.
It's true. If you've just tuned in and you're watching, we are ILBC TV. We are a free community channel, and we are co-founded by Matt from Cold Cut, which is why we are on the Cold Cut channel, and myself. And we are actually putting on a real-life UK challenge where live electronic performers are going to compete to the death. I mean, for fun. We're going to have short routines, we're going to have judges, and we're going to have prizes, including Complete 13, that is one confirmed prize, a MIDI-Evolve license, which is a really, really cool Max for Live plugin by Matt, and some other things. And it's going to be, and could I describe what's happening in Bristol? So basically, we are going to have this challenge. It's kind of like the DMC championships. If you've never seen those, they're like turntablist competitions from the 90s. And basically, you had a couple minutes to get up there, do your flashiest routine, routine, and then you were like cut off after a couple minutes, and the next person competed. So this is going to be a chance for live electronic performers to do these challenge routines, to become the night's champion. We are also going to have some musical showcases. I'm going to perform. Matt is going to perform, which is always a treat. And I'm really always also super honored to work with Cold Cut on this, because definitely this is one of my first influences as a young person experimenting with sampling and music. You know, fun fact, my parents used to let me go to the CD store when I was like, 9 or 10, and for an hour to just roam around and pick whatever I liked. And at the time, Ninja Tune and Cold Cut were the first like underground label to actually have their stuff in the stores. So I picked up all kinds of old Cold Cut stuff, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't even know what this is, and listened to it a bunch of times. And fast forward years later, and here we are. So next up we have Henjo with a track called Summer Piano. Just looking for mixed feedback and open for any new ideas. Cheers, and thank you for tuning in to Feedback of Friends.
I don't believe it. I'm thinking that we don't believe in love anymore. I hate this feeling, 'cause I won't be breathing you in my lungs anymore. I'm always checking my phone, and you're happy being alone, and I've got you on my mind, taking a part of my body, want you all over my body, lights out and we never leave. It's not right, I'm waking up to feelings thinking that I got you. Oh, it's not right, you're trading numbers with some dude who's at my party. I don't believe it. I'm thinking that we don't believe in love anymore. I hate this feeling, 'cause I won't be breathing you in my lungs anymore.
Woo! That is like some super tight work from. I really was like kind of dancing to that. I love that classic house piano. Like, you really are making everything feel good. Everyone feel good to dancing. Vocals sitting really nicely. Stasis Stigma says the only thing I can even say about this is that the intro vocal effects sound separate from the track. Natty, what do you think about that?
I think on the whole it was a fun effort too. I mean, there are some suggestions about maybe an extension to the Needs More House. I mean, this would be the sort of track where you'd have the pop edit, which would be this shorter one, and then maybe the extended club edit, where you just sort of let everything be a little bit more progressive and easier building. I also agree with Imagine about maybe lowering the velocity on the piano chords a little bit, because unless you're really, really keen on that 90s, we only had 2 samples for our chords instead of a full round robin aesthetic. Because I mean that is a valid choice as well. I mean there's a lot of house producers nowadays as well who will happily pay homage to that era of house music. But it's just whether that's deliberate or whether it's not, and that's always the the artistic question, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like the piano chords, for instance, like sometimes you would want it to be more natural, but in this way, I would almost like I'm always the one to say people play the piano, make it sound more real. But I think with this retro house sound, like it kind of has to sound unreal because that's the way they were making it, with samplers and using early sequencers, and like it's just very that artificiality contributes to that sort of retro vibe. So I think that you can go other ways with that. You don't necessarily always have to go towards more natural, although I am always that person that's super organic. No, I have to play everything in, it has to be in the pockets. Yeah, so it's rare for me to say this, but I do think with 90s house it works. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents. Nadia, how's your jet plane landing and takeoff going outside your window tonight?
Well, I closed the window, so it should be much quieter.
Amazing. Next up, we have Danny with a track called Welcome to Our Kingdom. And just under feedback just says how to make the track better. Don't we all want to know?
Welcome to our kingdom.
All right, we got a track from Danny here called Welcome to Our Kingdom, and we are giving Danny feedback on how to make it better. So I'm going to leave this playing a little bit underneath. I think some ways your melodies, like with this genre, big room, it's obviously about a certain sort of style, right? And part of it is a certain kind of big presence with the drums and the bass. I think your mix is sounding really great. Like you've got a lot of the things that you need in place already. And this is definitely like not my genre that I listen to all the time, but to me it sounds like something I could hear in a club right next to all the rest of them. So I think you've nailed like the basic order of elements, the arrangements and everything like that. I think that the lead sound, especially in the beginning, can be a little bit harsh at times and a little bit almost dry along with some of the strings. So I think one thing that you could play with that would make it a little more dimensional and dynamic is automating some interesting reverbs, just a little bit. And then you can create these textures and these little beds of atmosphere without adding too many more elements. Like I really like playing with reverb for that reason, because instead of adding something, you just expand literally on the sounds that you already have by creating some more depth and space, because right now there's a lot of dry elements, and although like the leveling of them is great and the mix is great, I want to hear, some moments of dirtiness and blurriness, and that would balance out the crisp cleanness. And sometimes I do feel like the melody kind of follows the bass line and everything is sort of moving on the same note too often. I would play with counterpoint melodies a little bit. So if you have your bass doing something low, you could have your lead doing something high, you could have them cross, instead of having them just move up and down exactly along the same parallels, if that makes sense. Alfie says the kick at the start felt a bit jarring, needed to be softer than the main build up and drop kick. Stasis Stigma is saying one suggestion that is subtle but makes a big difference for me are pre-kick transients, a quiet little reverse cymbal right before the kick. And Danny themselves is saying melodies are my weakness, but I'm going to try. I would recommend MIDI plugins. There are so many great plugins that will evolve notes and chords and melodies. There's the Captain plugin stuff, Captain Melody. I know that a couple of producers that really enjoy that. There's Scalar plugin, which has different chords. There's something new called Fluid Chords. I just saw Frost was talking to me about it. And there's MIDIvolve. There's Matt's plugin, which is a super interesting way to sort of have an AI take your melodies and continue them. Natty, do you know of any other tools that I missed?
I mean, I think you've got all the important ones. I mean, there's also other things that you can try just for fun sometimes, I think. It was Google had an AI that they had where you can actually play along with the AI.
Really?
And it tries to sort of... it's called AI Duet. I'll link it in the chat. But yeah, it's... effectively, it tries to guess what you're doing. And then respond. So like if you start playing chords, it might either join you or start playing something over the top of those chords, and it'll try and match your tempo, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's a case of, well, if you're stuck with creating a thing a specific way, then change how you're trying to do it and see if you can gain inspiration in other ways. I remember playing with it at one point and finding at least it was a good bit of fun,
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise, I spend a lot of time humming, which sounds really stupidly simple. But I mean, I'll hum my chords and I'll just hum a few different versions of whatever I'm doing over the top of it, and see which one I like most.
Sounds good. Do you have like any mixed feedback on that one or anything?
I mean, for me, I felt like I agree with this mainly about those solos and how they were sort of too dry. But I mean, I also felt like the moments where you sort of faked out before your real drop didn't have enough bleed through. I mean, it's sort of like you had us in a space and then suddenly we weren't anywhere. So maybe have a look at how you carry sounds through before transitioning to another sound, because it makes it feel like more continuous piece rather than like we've just changed channels on the TV.
Very good advice as usual, Natty. Also, Stasis says music theory, scales, and melodies are not too tough if you dedicate a couple of months to learn with YouTube. Just wanted to give a big shout out for those of you who are just tuning in. We had the Beat Call finale, and Matt did an awesome jam with the winning samples. I just want to shout out to everybody who contributed samples personally to that pack, specifically Tarnith, Knizzle, Imagine, McPhoton, Astroraf, so what is it? Sanpu Matsumoto. There were so many of them. Bako Bibizo from our Discord. Buichail. Sorry, I totally mangled that. I know it's a word but really dope. Uncle Catfish, Mr. Thursday. There's a few more. They're all going to be credited in this pack. Oh, Cross Couloir, M. Lily, Evelyn Seeker, Kuki, and I think that's everybody. But special congrats to Imagine, who made it with the Kia free synth that we did on Plugin of the Week. Now I have to collab with Kia, says Imagine. Oh dear. All right. So
there are worse people to collaborate with.
Next up, we have Oni. I don't know if Oni had any specific things they wanted to know, just general.
No, just whatever. There's no feedback request given.
All right. Sorry, buckle. Alright, this is some cool vibes, but as a few people said, there's some weird things going on with the panning of the drums, the placement of the hats and the snare. So people are getting a little bit rattled by that. So I would definitely say go back and look at that. Alfie thinks that those hats are going to a non-delay compensating plugin. Yeah, there is something a little bit unsettling about it. I really do like the space that you're creating and the shapes, but there is something unbalanced about the drums a little bit. I think they need to glue together a little bit more. And what else was I going to say? Oh, so the big bass, the big moody reverby bass that you have throughout the first part of the song, it's really cool, but the tail is really long, and so when your notes are overlapping, this is probably causing problems in your mix because the ends of your bass notes are bleeding in. So what I would do is, if you're going to put a really reverby layer on that, make sure to multiband it so that it's not going over the sub. The sub should be clean. The sub should be not having any stereo effects or reverb on it at all. So put only reverb on the mid or top bands. That would be my first tip. And shorten the envelope of the bass itself so that the release and the sustain are shorter and tighter. And maybe even like gate it to itself. Like just make sure that it's just in mono. Actually, that would be the simplest thing if you're using a synth. If you have it in mono, it'll cut the next note off. And you could even play with some glides, you could play with some glide time so that it switches between the notes and glides, and then it stays clean as well. But I do agree with Buckle. I got it now. I like the vibe, and I think that you've got the right spirit in it. You just need to clean up the space a bit. What do you think, Nathaniel?
Well, I don't think it needs any more ear candy, which is always a good one. I mean, also, I like how you're doing the monologues tonight. But I mean, I agree. I like how vibey and dark it is. It sort of feels like it wants to really take me away into this sort of ethereal and edgy place that people commonly associate with like getting high or something. I feel like it'd be nice to have a couple moments where you just strip it back a little bit and just have the bass and maybe you're kicking your snare and just sort of go on with that for a few bars, because I mean it's a really nice and sort of bendy sound. It's like and I actually really like that sound. All this ear candy chat is making you hungry. We'll have to sell official ear candy.
We should take all
The
these
question
clips.
is, would it be made of, would it be little ears? Or would it be...
Whoa, that was way too dark. I don't know what you're trying to go for there.
like
Jeez.
little ear-shaped gummy sweets? I don't know, they sell like little skull ones and whatever.
I have to go wash my hair. All right. Next up, we've got Visionary. Hopefully I think this audio should work. This is, don't need feedback on the build-up. It's only a placeholder. Okay, so we cannot comment on the build-up. Bro, I get it. The drop was made with samples I submitted to Beat Call, sub, bass, and lead. So those are actually the samples that we used in the pack. Matt was jamming with them. So your lead and your sub bass that are in this whip are also in the Beat Call pack, which we will release to everyone for free. Matt jammed out with it early on the stream. If you're watching from the Cold Cut channel and you're like, what the heck is this? We are LBC TV, a channel co-founded by Matt Black from Cold Cut and also myself. And basically, Natty, you're on the live team as well. We give feedback. We do workshops. We're doing a real live concert in Bristol on July 6th at Lost Horizon, which will also be streamed. Just amazing. And so Visionary, we're not allowed to comment. Straight flames from Visionary. So that bass and lead I can't wait to play with those in the pack. Those are seriously killer, and they're really cool, especially because there's a lot of organic samples. So I definitely would recommend, maybe my advice, my feedback on this would be like, how about I should just hurry you the samples out of the pack, and you should use some more of them, because I could actually see you chopping up a lot of the various samples. And these are the ones, so let me explain the process to all of you for making a Jam Pro pack. A lot of people submitted their own samples that they made in groups, and my job was to find 32 loops that all went together no matter which combinations I played. So there's 4 channels: drums, bass, leads, and pads. And basically I can only play 1 in each channel at a time, but I can play 4 at once. So I had to try all of them, and I had to, obviously adjust them, but it was all people who had no idea what the other was submitting. So this is part of a super unique pack, and I would love to hear you put some more of those samples. I mean, there's cellos, there's pianos, there's weird modular stuff, or like resampled jazz, there's some dope stuff. So I think it should be like the Beat Call tune. I would be honored anyways. We love you, Visionary. Natty, what did you think of that?
I mean, I was getting into it and then it ended, and I was like, no. I also think there's a lot of fun potential here for more call and response. Like, I mean, you've got a lot of very air horny sort of sounds in here, which is interesting, because they can go from being really fun to being really annoying really fast. So I mean, it'd be interesting to see how you continue evolving those sounds with resampling and whatnot, because I mean, obviously you also have the original source, I suppose is what you would call it here, since you made these samples. And but I'd also maybe like to hear something sort of plucky and super soy in the high end, sort of respond to the same. You can either have it in the same note but up to a few octaves can't speak few octaves up, or or perhaps you'd use it in a harmonic note, like a 4th or a 5th or something in places, sort of to continue ramping up that edgy dissonant tone that you've got going on. But I mean, when this is a full track, I think it's going to be really fun. So keep going.
Definitely keep going. If you're watching on the Cold Cut channels, you can subscribe to ILBC, which is where we do all these free feedback sessions, also workshops and concerts at ILBC_TV on Twitch. We are going to move to the next track in the queue, which is actually by Imagine, the winner of tonight's Beat Call Sample Pack Challenge. Yay! So it's funny because the name of this file is like the export path from his hard drive. It's like /volume/ whatever hard drive /8. All right, you're gonna kill it. We love you, Imagine. Dark underground club vibes from Imagine, the winner of the very first Beat Call from ILBC. So Imagine won a Zen delay from Ninja Tune and Erica Synths, a Jam Pro license, and 10 exclusive Jam sample sets. Second prize went to Mr. Thursday, who is going to get a vintage Ninja Tune bag from Matt Black's personal collection, and also a Jam Pro license. And we have special mention to our other finalists, Knizzle, McPhoton, and Astro Raff. You all did, and honestly, all 16 people that made the pack, everybody contributed amazing samples, and it was so much fun. And I really think we should do more of these because it's really fun to play around with them all together. But yeah, I agree with everybody in the chat. Those gorgeous chords in the breakdown, they need to come up a bit overall against the track, and then the whole breakdown itself is really quiet. But I absolutely love the way that you curate your space, the way that everything sounds, the space in between the sounds. This is like not my usual genre, but I really enjoy, as Natty says, that this is a journey worth taking. Natty, did you enjoy the journey?
I enjoyed this one too. I also found one of the comments, E-Zone on I Am a Lame Saucer, I just want the song to be those chords in the middle. I actually find that ties back to one of the old anecdotes that you actually brought up a couple of times in the past about making people hear something once and then never have it come back again. I think this is actually a good example of that, where I'm kind of glad the whole track isn't that middle section, because it actually stands out in a nice way when it appears.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a nice breather and contrast point, and I think that if you started saturating it throughout the entire track, it wouldn't be as nice and cool.
Yeah.
You always tend to bring the heat as well, which, I mean, I like that rolling bass sound that you've got going on, and your percussive variety is also really solid.
Definitely. I really like that as well. And sorry, apologies to Aquaria Drops. It looked like your name was Oni. I guess that was your song, but good song anyways. Sorry about that again. Yeah, next up we actually have another contributor for our beat call, Bako Bibizo. Great samples, by the way. We've got about 4 of your samples in the pack, so really, really nice ones. Track called Don't Want to Fall, and I don't think there's any specific feedback, so we will just check it out. Some nice vibes from Bako Bibizo. I really like the vocals on this track. I really like the melodies, but I think that your mix really needs some tweaking so that all the beautiful parts of this track can really shine, because right now your drums are sort of uneven. Like the kick is kind of popping out, but a little bit loose. Everything just seems a little bit loose in the mix. And I think that you could try bus processing things a little bit more, limiting more strategically, cleaning up some EQ, and really like using parallel processing, parallel compression, ways to just make everything pop and punch and be a little bit crispier, because it's a shame that things are getting a little bit lost from you not EQing them and compressing them as stringently as they need. So I would just go back and really polish that, because otherwise we're just going to lose all the subtleties and the really nice stuff. Natty?
I mean, I think especially close attention paid to the bass levels of the track, because right now it's we're getting a lot of mids and not much else, and the actual melodic progression is really nice. I think you've got the clear idea of what the song needs to be. It's just having the patience to actually bring everything up into the standard that you need on a production level, which, I know it's a pain. Everyone hates doing it. Everyone
Me
just
too.
wants songs to be written and then never have to think about it again. But I mean, we all have to go through this bit. But I mean, I think it'll be a really cool thing when it's finished. I also like the use of the vocals in the track itself, because then they're almost used texturally, and I think you should try and preserve that, because I don't think we need to know what she's saying so much in every respect. But I think it does add a nice character to your track, so definitely keep going with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think just with a little bit of mix, like people are saying, hey, I would enjoy this in a melodic house playlist on Spotify. So just, yeah, super tight mix, especially in this genre. It's all about like directing people how to feel on the dance floor. And you need to really like punch them in the chest with that kick and get hypnotic and clean some space for all the elements. So I definitely think that it's almost there. It just needs to go through that part. And some people really like that part. Me, not so much, and I guess from what Natty said, not him either, because we're definitely more like composers than people who just love making the snare half a dB up and down. So,
I have far too many works in progress because of this.
Me too. Fair play. Next up, we have buckle, which is a Highlands. It's a Scottish word. I'm surprised you didn't know, Nathaniel. Way to
it's not exactly common lingo.
Way to be heritage blind. We have a track by Buckle called Lonesome Dogs featuring Euphemia. What can I do to make it better? And shouts out, it's an Audius link. Definitely love Audius as the place to upload your audio, because they don't compress it. They do not even compress. It just sounds exactly as you made it. So here we go.
Yeah, the trees are looking gnarly, and the sea is looking black. And the sea looks grey, sometimes looks blue, and the dogs I don't think they've got a home.
Wow. From Scottish producer Buckle. This is a super hypnotic piece called Lonesome Dogs. I want to say big shouts out to DJ Heinous Espadrilles, great name by the way, but also great comment on Little Fluffy Clouds. I don't know, Buckle, if you listen to the Orb, but Little Fluffy Clouds is a classic track and spot on. Like, I couldn't put my finger on it, but you're exactly right. Like this super floaty, hypnotic vibe. I really loved it. I think it sounds super clean, and there was some really interesting vocal processing and variety and layering. It almost seemed like a really cool underground EDM opera. Like I could see like a theater piece and like different stages, and these are different numbers because there was so many different sections, and yet it was like one flowing vibe. So I really enjoyed it. And Buckle's saying they are a big Orb fan, so well done. Shouts out to all the pirates on Pirates TV, Cold Cut channels. We are ILBC TV, a project co-founded by Matt Black, and so subscribe to us. We do workshops, mentorship, and Matt comes in and hangs out occasionally, as you can see if you were watching earlier. Natty, what did you think of that as a Scottish as a Scots person?
I mean, I'm not Scottish enough for this one. But I mean, like, no, actually, I really liked the general vibe going on. I also really like Stasis Stigma's comparison to The Fifth Element. There's an operatic piece that was in the Fifth Element movie. The composer designed it to be effectively unsingable. It's one of those early examples in movie soundtracks of composer producer types getting really experimental, and so they used a lot of pitch correction and extreme pitch variation to create something that no human voice can actually pull off. And that actually kind of links into something else that I was thinking about this track. You're an adopted Scot too. Me too. You're not
native Scots?
No, I was born in England. I know. Everything you've known is a lie.
Oh.
But no, I've lived up here since I was about 5. So you're 21 years now. But I really liked the Scots Gaelic bits towards the end, and I feel like you could actually pull some of that forward and use it as ad-libs around, start sculpt, because I mean the main vocal line is really solid, but what I'd really like sometimes was something this spacious and airy and clouds, which is I see what the Orb were trying to do with their thing, would be to have some of these haunting Gaelic sounds going on around it, and I think that could be really cool. And he can ad-lib on Ezone's tracks in Gaelic any day. I mean, I can't speak Gaelic, but I mean, I respect that people are still keeping it alive, because it's not many people speak it anymore. So it's actually a very, very rare thing. I mean, to the point where this actually makes it very, very unique in the world of dance and club and EDM. It's like that, having someone who's putting something in there that doesn't exist anywhere else. That's really cool.
Yeah, amazing.
And Sheila does have pipes.
Sheila does
Go
have
Sheila.
pipes. Really unique vocals, and I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed the way they were floating over the track. So well done. I definitely, some of the same advice I gave in some other tracks. I might play with automating some weird reverbs and getting some tiny background sort of pitch shifting. You know what happens when you mess with the decay time and the size and stuff. You can do this on Valhalla Shimmer. You can do this on Comet by Polyverse. Just any kind of weird reverb that lets you automate between kind of presets or different values and gives you that purposeful weird pitch shifting could be so cool. I would really love that. So good job, Buckle. Next up, we got Yes Please. I remember that name. I haven't seen you around in a while. What's up?
They got very excited that we were doing this.
I am excited to see them again. I remember loving their music always. And they're saying, I want to know if this microphone makes my voice sound terrible and exposes my terrible singing, because I bought it 2 years ago and stopped producing because I thought it was horrible. Oh, we're not going to take that, all right? We're all creators. We all have moments where we think we're horrible, and we also have those moments that make us want to continue, where you make something super cool. And that's what ILBC is all about. We really want everybody to be creative and make art and make music. And it's so, so cool to be working with Matt Black and Cold Cut on this project. And so cool to be working with you, Natty, and EDM Production Discord. If you're into Discord, you can join us at discord.gg/EDMP.
Yep, come say hi.
Come say hi. We also have the EDM Production subreddit. We're all connected, so come learn with us. We are also live every Wednesday doing this. So this is Yes Please When I'm With You.
You know I can't get enough of your body on mine. Angels singing, hymns are ringing. God, this is my crime. Lock me up a criminal, I swear I'll do the time. Burn me up inside of your divine. Turning up the heat, moving to the beat. You make it complete when I'm with you. And there's no one else who can make me feel the way you make me feel. It's way too fucking real when I'm with you. And there's no one else, I'm way too into you. Commit every sin for you, I'll burn every cross for you. I swear to God that I'll do, then I'ma get into truth. I cannot live without you, so I'ma just be, and I'ma be my muse. So up the heat, you make it complete when I'm with you. And there's no one else who can make me feel the way you make me feel. It's way too fucking real when I'm with you. And there's no one else, I'm way too into you. Commit every sin for you, I'll burn every cross for you. I swear to God that I'll do, then I'ma get into truth. I cannot live without you, so I'ma just be, and I'ma be my muse. So girl, there's no surprise, look into my eyes, I can tell no lies. Girl, I love you, I do. And every time you ride, I just wanna fly, I just wanna, girl, I want you. 'Cause you are my muse, and I'll be turning up the heat, moving to the beat. You make it complete when I'm with you. And there's no one else who can make me feel the way you make me feel. It's way too fucking real when I'm with you.
Oh my God, never stop singing, never stop producing. I remember this about you now. I remember Yes Please used to come into the chat and just be like, I'm horrible and I'm terrible, and then just play us this like heartbreaking, beautiful, like I just swooned into my swoon and just like loaded up this beautiful Volta world. Volta, the visuals, these visuals that I'm doing behind us, these are generative and live, and they're made by Volta XR. They just released a new version that has controllable camera angles, so enjoying playing with that to your beautiful voice. You are crazy. It is so lovely, and your production is really great, and the bass sounds amazing. Please make albums and more albums. Stasis Stigma is saying I would like a little more movement with a kick, a little double kick here would be nice. Heartbeat style, maybe. That would be really cool as well. But generally, yeah, amazing track. And yes, deal with your imposter syndrome. Natty will back me up on this one. I know you will.
Yep, don't ever let imposter syndrome beat you. I mean, I've had days like that as well, where I suck, everything I do sucks. never want to make music again. And but I mean, like, if you enjoy exploring ideas, especially you know, pushing yourself, it's okay to push yourself and feel out of your depth. I mean, I find that I achieve the most interesting things when I do that. So, you know, push into it, say, oh, okay, I suck, so what? You know, let's try it anyway. I do have a couple of tips with how you're handling with your own voice. And obviously when you're processing yourself, it's really hard because you're like, I just don't want to hear this at all. And I want to just move on and forget that I did this. But I mean, there are moments where it's almost like you're mid-emphasizing all the mids in your voice. And I feel like you're in real life. If you're singing in front of me, you'd actually have more bass than you've presented to us in this mixdown. Now, obviously, it's difficult because you've got that really, really smooth funk bass underneath. But, I mean, with anything when it comes to EQ, it doesn't have to be static. You can automate it to have moments where the bass cuts out a bit and your voice takes over. And that is totally valid and also is guaranteed to make people swoon more than Isha's been swooning when they hear the rumble in your voice. Make everyone's sub packs go boom.
So good. I mean, I'm an R&B fan. If it isn't obvious by the name Alicia, so I love it. Sorry, go on, Eddie.
The other thing is maybe chuck a little bit. Play if you've got a de-esser on there, play it a little bit harder. Just because you know, if you actually listen really carefully, it does conflict a little bit with your percussion, just ever so slightly. It's again, I think it's partly because of the mid-emphasis, where it sort of pushes our focus all the way up the spectrum. But I think if you can push the de-esser a little bit harder, why would you automate the EQ instead of just using level automation? That's a really good question, because sometimes, depending on what else is happening in your song, you may want to emphasize specific parts of the sound rather than the entire volume of the sound. Because, you know, if say you got a kick, and in one part of your sound... Oh, what was that? No idea what that... Anyway, so say you got a kick and you got a bass, and when the kick is there by itself, it sounds really solid. But then the bass comes in, but you still kind of want to keep the same character as the kick, but you don't want to change its overall presence. So you just automate a slight change in the EQ curve so that it steps out of the way of the bass. And you can use a static EQ for this, or a dynamic EQ where it side changes that element. But either way, you're changing the response in how you actually have it in relation to each other on the frequency spectrum. And you can use it creatively too. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, this is just purely for mixing. You can do it because you're guiding us into focusing on specific bits. And it's really fun to play about with.
Well played, my friend. Well played. But yeah, please.
The most improvised I've been around.
This is amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, people have, as Stasis just said, took the words out of my mouth. I shared TDR Nova last week, and it's a really good dynamic EQ. It'll do all that work for you. You don't need to do EQ automation when you use a dynamic EQ. You just set the threshold and it reacts to the balance of frequencies, and there you go. So highly recommend TDR Nova. It's free. There is a paid version that has an extra EQ band, but you can totally get by with the free version. Natty, your typing is like gunshots, but
sorry.
I love it. We have a Q jumper. Thank you for the donation, DJ Heinous Espadrilles. I freaking love that name. I just think of really evil shoes. And aka DJ like and subscribe with a track called Disco Draft. super funky vibes from DJ Like and Subscribe, aka DJ Heinous Espadrilles. I mean, you're good with names. I'm gonna give you that. I like all the names you've chosen. There's also dollar bills on your SoundCloud account. Really, really great vibes. I echo what a few people have said in the chat already, which is basically your upper elements are great, the melodies are funky, like the space is nice, but the bass is a little bit boomy and it is a little bit straight. I think there's some syncopation and some funky sort of pocket adjustments, having it not just be so kind of quantized, and also playing with the sound a little bit more, maybe putting some upper mid-range distortion on it. That could also help to just keep the feel going, and maybe even really playing with some sidechain for a modern touch. If you can adjust the envelope of your sidechain, you can have it kind of slap against the beat and give it an even like funkier kind of late pocket thing just by swinging the way that the compressor is enveloping. So that's kind of a fun thing that people don't always think of, is using compression for kind of rhythmic enforcement instead of just compression directly. So think about that. You know, sidechaining isn't always just to disappear out of the way. Sometimes it's to deliberately push the envelope, literally. So that's what I would do. Stasis Stigma is saying maybe have fun with some panning. I'd love to hear the guitar on the left and the hats on the right. That would be kind of a cool disco era throwback, because 60s and 70s people were definitely doing panning like that a lot more. So that gives it kind of that neat retro feel. And yeah, maybe even some more like noise, RC20 kind of distorted, glitchy analog vinyl noise type of plugins would be cool to give it even that more nostalgic thing, and some more like Selena strings, just really like go all the way. Natty, thoughts?
I mean, for me, I think the next thing as well is speaking about strings, you have a choice to effectively treat it like you're using a sample, and like you've got some old disco record and you're effectively making new disco. In which case, maybe start experimenting with chopping it up, getting more funky with the processing on your strings, or you treat it like you're making a traditional disco track. In which case, you need to liven them up some more, because right now they're very static. Like you've got a few different MIDI notes, but not much variation between them. So maybe have a look at layering in either a secondary bank of strings as an underlayer to sort of add a bit more movement to it, or start experimenting with flicking in out of different articulations of strings. Like, I mean, yeah, the sort of legato glidey strings are very disco, but I mean, it wasn't like they didn't use the other articulations available to a string instrument at the time. So it's sort of a case of, if think about it, if you were playing an instrument, how much fun would it be to play the same things throughout the entire track versus having a few little change-ups to keep the movement going alongside that bass and the fun disco rhythm, and maybe eventually a vocal or some kind, you know, that sort of thing. That's kind of where my mind always goes when treating string instruments.
Yes, disco. I love it though. I mean, I had a good time with that track, and I think that just a little bit more tweaking and a little more slappiness and cheekiness will get you long way. I could even hear some like kind of sassy horn shots. That could also be really fun. Just like little
Yes.
One of these days somebody just has to cut all of these clips of us together and make a sound back. Next up we are going back to the queue. If you are getting bored or whatever, you want to skip the queue, you can always throw us a little donation. It helps keep LBC TV free and allows us to take the time to do this for you every week. Next up we have Mixed Moods featuring Amelia June, Broken. Any general feedback that they say? Oh, it's a legit remix. An original exists by Triphonic, also called Broken, also with Amelia June.
This
melodies of this are absolutely gorgeous, like really, really, really lovely. So congratulations on a beautiful, beautiful tune. Natty, you want to go first on this one?
Obviously this is very, very vocal heavy, and the vocal is obviously very, very, very solid, so that's always nice. But I mean, I feel like it's almost too reliant on the vocal being strong. I mean, there's some interesting stuff going on with the little bell arps and everything else, but I mean, like, it's almost like you become hooked on the vocal and forgotten that it's a sort of remix. I would have liked to hear maybe some more interplay between the two things. So like, you chopping it up maybe and having it so your bass starts responding to it rather than being its own independent thing. And I also would have maybe appreciated having that bass melody get more complex as the track progressed as well. Because it's almost like lyrically the vocal is quite angsty and tense. But I mean, the entire time the track is sort of just leisurely about the whole thing, and it's giving us this sort of smooth groove, and never really leans into that tension that's generated by the way, not only the way the vocals sung, but just what she's actually singing about. I mean, obviously that's a personal preference-y thing, whereas there's plenty of remixes out there that don't really care so much about the lyrical content. They're just there to sort of change the mood over from the original and say, okay, this is new now, and that's fine and perfectly valid. I mean, this is sort of my feeling about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think there's so much potential with some of the melodies and the interactions between the chords that you made and the vocal line that are really, really beautiful melodic moments in the music and keep it super interesting. So, yeah, good job. If you're tuning in on Cold Cut channels, I would urge you to subscribe to our own Twitch account at ILBC_TV. We are here every Wednesday, but we don't always stream on Cold Cut channels. We usually just do it on nights like tonight when Matt comes and guests and judges and hangs out with us. So please do subscribe if you want to hang out with us and get feedback and have other workshops and random streams from us. So we only have a couple more. Normally, just for your info, if you never watched this, we almost always go for about 3 hours from 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. However, I gotta catch a bus at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I have to cut this one a little bit more limited. But yeah, normally we would be going for probably about another hour. Next up we have Fury, and Fury wants to know about the mixing and gain staging of their track. Well, I was getting tired, but I'm awake
You're not gonna
now.
sleep tonight.
I am wide awake. That was resentment from Fury, and that was fierce. I really enjoyed that. Like that made me want to, as they say in America, ride the rail. If you ever if you don't know what that is, just look it up on YouTube. Ride the rail, and you will see like barriers for going on for miles and miles with kids, just like riding and headbanging. DJ Wicket, the instigator, has a really funny series called Ride Every Rail, where he's in like grandmother's apartment complexes over the balcony, like riding the rail and parking lot barriers. So I would look that up. Super good. I think that somebody said in the cold cut chat, it was Main. Sorry, I don't know how to say that. That they would like the growls to be pushed a little bit more. I agree with that. I think the growls could be pushed a little bit harder, and maybe some interesting automation of really interesting distortion plugins. I don't know if you ever checked out the unfiltered audio. I don't really have time to do plugin of the week, but unfiltered audio, Indent and Dent, and really all their plugins, they have these really cool ways of hooking them to each other and modulating one parameter with another. So it's a really fun way to have some like distortion with LFOs on it. Minimal audio rift, that's also a really good distortion that you can automate. I would just kind of play with that in little bits to give yourself a little more dimension and a little more variety of texture, but I think you really nailed that. So well done, Natty.
I lost it a bit when the hentai samples came in. Not, I mean, I know it's quite a staple of the genre, but I also kind of wasn't expecting it, so I found that hilarious. But it's heavy as hell. Another distortion plugin that I've played about with that can get interesting results sometimes is Trash. Oh, what was that? I don't know. I heard some but I mean, there's Trash 2, which actually allows you to sidechain multiple parameters to different things and create interesting distortion patterns based off that. I think it's always fun just to sort of say, okay, I think it's generally done. This is going to be the sort of the final mix, and then spin off another fork of the file and see if there's any extra things you might be able to do to make it even more spicy. So you've still got the original file, and it's sort of like, okay, that's fine. I'm happy with this. But I mean, like, it would be interesting to see how much further and crazier you could push something like this.
Absolutely. Well, amazing. We got one more track. As I said, if you're just joining us, we usually do this for an extra hour, but I got an early morning and we had a great time with Matt Black from Cold Cut tonight, where he was jamming out with the samples made by our community. Congratulations to Imagine for winning, and also just if you happen to be in the UK, we are having a real life LBC International Live Beat Challenge UK coming up on July 6th at Lost Horizon in Bristol. It's going to be an interactive hybrid virtual real life set featuring Matt Black himself from Cold Cut doing a set, Freer from Slamboree with Gramsci and Stirs. I'm going to be doing a little showcase and doing a little live set, and a bunch of other talented live electronic musicians as well. And there's also going to be the competition where contestants are going to do quick routines. There's going to be a ticking clock. It's going to be like the DMCs. If you want to apply to be either a showcaser or a contestant, go to ilbc.tv/UK challenge to get it on it. We would love to see you there. So thank you so much to Matt for joining us earlier. Definitely, if you didn't join us till the middle, rewind back after we get off, because he did such a really fun Jam Pro set. We have one more track for the night, and it is going to be Human Collapse is the artist, and it's called Sleep Paralysis Demo. This sounds like the perfect thing. It's either the perfect thing to end up on, or I'm not going
You're
to
gonna have
bed
nightmares,
tonight.
Isha.
I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but yeah, no pressure. You just have to be the last track of the night, Human Collapse. Did they want any specific feedback, Natty?
Yes, short demo with a missing breakdown in the second drop. Generally want feedback on the mix and the structure of the first drop.
Okay, we will check it out. Oh, that took me by complete surprise, that ending, but I really, really love that. I'm a huge, huge halftime fan because I am a drum and bass head. But after years of just like super full, super fast breaks, I really longed for some space, and I started enjoying those halftime parts of jungle tracks, and that's kind of how the whole like left field bass and glitch hop movement was going on back then. And ever since I've just had this love for halftime because it has all the things I like about drum and bass, but has the space that I like about other music. So really spot on job. Yeah, I wanted it to go longer. I agree. Of course, it was only a minute and a half, and I would say, please keep going. Put some Foley in. Put some weird industrial Foley. Like I have a free sample CD that I got called like Sounds of the Warehouse, and it's just somebody like dragging around steel pipes and closing metal doors and just going through this rusted out spot. I think some cool organic samples like that with some really weird automated delays with distortions on top of those chains like that could be super, super cool here. But I love the dimension that you're taking us to. I just want to hear it kind of like spread out and panned a little bit more in the atmospheric side, and some high-end kind of noise or glitching or something going on, because you have such great bass and such great presence in the drums. Nathaniel.
I find it interesting. You're like, I want more about a track that's meant to be sleep paralysis, which usually when people experience sleep paralysis, they want less, not more. So, I mean, does leave me the question of whether maybe the title's actually slightly off. I mean, for something that sleep paralysis gives me the vibe of something really evil, while this is sort of tense and industrial, it feels almost cyberpunk and sexy than creepy and horrifying.
It's true.
So, I mean, maybe if you are going to continue with that title, think about how you can spin it if your second drop could be the thing that says, yes, this is the title. You first you're in a sort of an interesting dream, and now you're in a nightmare. So perhaps that would be something to think about, because like right now I'm not getting the sleep paralysis vibe, but it's a really cool vibe what you do have going on. So, well done.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a drum and bass head, this would feel like sleep paralysis. You'd be like, I'm slow motion. But yeah, I super love it. I would love to hear this at like 4 a.m. out in the woods again. I really miss outdoor festivals. I can't wait to go to some of them again. But this is something I could hear deep in the woods or at like Shambhala. Definitely a big festival tune. You know that the winning sample of the beat call tonight by Imagine, Bird Call, I could see that kind of texture being a really good addition to your track. It's just like bird noises and little plucks. But anyways, we love it. Do you have any last feedback tonight before we close it, Natty?
Nothing useful. I mean, everyone's presented relatively interesting songs and mostly solid mixdowns with no weird issues tonight, which is probably a first. There's like nothing that's blown my ears out and made me want to feel like I'm writing on a chalkboard with like so that's always fun. So good job everybody, and thank you for joining us as well, because we know it's a bit different as well to have go from jam session with Matt Black to feedback stream, and anyone who stuck around from the beginning, I really appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful evening, I guess.
We love you, and we will be back next week with another Feedback and Friends. And the week after that, I think, where we get to do that one in person, is that the week after that?
We got another. That's the third one. I'm with Evelyn, hopefully for the 2 weeks from now.
Well, maybe you two can do it in person from there. It'll be cute. All the EDM staff. We have long history. For those of you watching on the Cold Cut channels or even LBC TV, we have been running the EDM production Discord together for about 5 years, and we have never met in person. So we're all about to do a connecting trip to hang out, and we will be doing some sessions from there. But big ups, Nathaniel. Shouts out to Matt Black. Thank you for believing in musicians so much. Thank you for being such an inspiration to your community and all the people that get to know you. And thanks for your amazing app, Jam Pro. And thank you to the 16 talented producers who contributed to the pack. And thank you to the winner, Imagine, who has won a Zen delay from Erica Synths and Ninja Tune. Have a great night. We love you.